I want to share my thoughts about the police situation in the United States and all of the current controversy and racism and defund the police and all these things that are being talked about by the media that are huge issues in the United States right now. Um, I'll talk about some statistics, my own personal experience, and with police and experiences with police in other countries. Um, I think the biggest enemy to good police officers is not actually even the left wing media. It is bad police officers. Um, some of my very best friends are cops. I have respect for that job, and the majority of police officers are they're just helping. They're just doing, they're just good people just doing their job. But we have this pressure in the United States for the officers to give out a certain number of tickets or make a certain number of busts. If they're not putting up numbers, they look like an ineffective police officer. And this is all issues with the privatized prison system, and they make profit off of how many prisoners they have. It's a really, really corrupt system. So it's very bad for police officers in general to even be a part of that system. So that's shitty to start with. And then you have an issue that I've noticed exclusively in the United States, really. Like I've spent about 5.5 years living outside of the US. But with this tough guy mentality, I haven't seen, and this is obviously, again, this is not all police officers. A lot of police officers are kind-hearted, great people. But these officers that get through that just like they just want to be tough. They want to get in your face. They want to prove that they're a badass and that you have to do what they say. And I don't know if my experiences, I've had, more experiences like this being a black guy or what. It's hard to say. I'm not going to be one of those people that just jumps in and says, "Well, this obviously is racism because this isn't that." It's very hard to say what is racist. You don't know what a person's intention are. You can't say every white police officer that shoots a black guy, he's racist. There's all kinds of different circumstances. So I hate to always, I hate to make things racist. But I would say that I've had more negative interactions with police officers than my friends that live similar lifestyles and whatever else. I would say that it's just more of an occurrence where I feel like I get like harassed by police. Um, and to the point of when I would ride my bike home from work at night, sometimes I'd forget my light. This is in Chandler, Arizona, Mesa in Chandler, Arizona. I would when you see people go into bad neighborhoods and they kind of look both ways to make sure there's no like thugs or anybody out on the street at night. I was looking for police, literally. So if I'm riding my bike home from work, I'm looking down the street both ways because I'm like, I don't want to enter the road when there's cops out. Like that was my only worry is just being harassed by the police. It happened that often. I mean, and people are like, why don't you just have a bike light? Yeah, most of the time I did. Sometimes I'd forget it. Okay, so sorry, sue me. Um, but it's just, I mean, it was like, at one point it happened like 3 times in a month, you know. And at one point, one of the cops even made up a fake drug charge. She stopped me for the bike light, the whole spiel. Oh, it's not safe, blah blah. And then he runs my license, and he's like, "Oh, it says here you got arrested for a drug offense earlier this year. Do you have drugs on you right now?" And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" Dude, he just made it up. Like he just made up a drug charge. So I'm like, it's hard to say what's racism. It's hard to say, oh, he did that, because I'm black. But after a while, the coincidences start accumulating till where they can't be coincidences anymore. So I defunding the police is not a good idea. We need police officers, and so many of them are out there busting their asses and putting themselves in dangerous situations, and they have to see dead kids, and they have to deal with these piece of shit guys that beat up their girlfriends and all these crazy things they have to deal with all the time. And I respect that position, but the biggest enemy to good police officers is bad police officers, because they are giving you guys a bad rap. And I honestly don't feel comfortable a lot. Like if I see police officers come around the United States, I kind of go the other way. I don't feel comfortable in that situation just because I've had so many negative experiences. And it's not like that. I just feel that way about cops in general because I had great experiences in Australia with police officers. I'm here in the Netherlands now. I feel when I see cops around, I feel like, okay, good, everything's good. I feel like a sense of peace or a sense of ease. They've all been friendly, smiling. I don't know if I've told this story before, but I got pulled over in Australia one time because my tail lights weren't working. And instead of giving me a ticket, the cops got down and tried to fix my lights for like 15 minutes. These two highway patrol guys. And so I was just so in shock because I just haven't ever received that kind of kindness in the United States from police. It's always the opposite. So I definitely think that there needs to be something that changes with the mentality of American police officers in general. And whether that's in the training or the hiring process, I don't know how that works. How come we end up with so many tough guy cops that have something to prove? And I haven't seen that other places. I mean, all the cops in Australia, some of them were super jacked dudes, and they were just always friendly, cracking jokes. One time, we got a noise complaint in Australia at my house because we had parties all the time. We had a lot of people over. And the cops came and were like, it's not that bad. It's not that loud. And they came in and they sat down and played a game with us for like 10 minutes. It was a drinking game. They didn't drink, but it's like this is just to these experiences where cops just like your buddies on duty it's a really cool feeling to feel that way about cops. It's a really cool feeling to just be like, you just want to say what's up to them when you see them. Like, these are cool guys. These are down-ass dudes. And it would be amazing if that's the way that people felt in the United States. So, everything that's happening right now is completely shitty, and defunding police departments when we need them the most, and the crime rate rising is insane. And this is a terrible, terrible time to be a police officer. So I appreciate you guys right now. It's like I wouldn't wish this on my worst enemy, But when everything's calmed down and we get back to normal, hopefully, if you guys could just be cooler to people, right? Like, I want to have the same idea about American police officers that I do Australian police officers. Not right now, by the way. I know they've been doing some crazy stuff with COVID, but before COVID happened, the Australian police officers were chill. And to just have that feeling when I get around a police officer, just be like, oh, cool, a police officer's here, like a homie's around, like, cool, we know somebody's here that has our back. To have that feeling would be outstanding. And I think that's possible. I don't have that feeling in the U.S. right now. I feel uncomfortable when cops are around. So if you guys could try to work on giving people that feeling, I think you guys could turn it all around, light at the end of the tunnel.